The Armenian Bar Association was formed in 1989 to provide an arena for lawyers of Armenian heritage to come together socially and professionally and to address the legal concerns of the Armenian community. Lucy, Armenian Bar Association was formed in 1989. Can you please highlight some accomplishments? We've come a long way.
We sure have. When the Armenian Bar Association was formed, Armenia was just becoming independent. And one of the early things that the Bar Association focused on was the rule of law in Armenia. And our members at the time participated in all aspects, including participating in the drafting of the Constitution of the Republic of Armenia. Since then, over the years, specific to the work that we've done in the United States, we have opened up a pro bono clinic where we try to assist members of our community who may otherwise have no access to justice, may sometimes, given immigrant communities, may struggle with understanding the law or understanding what their rights are. And so our clinic provides that type of assistance. We help with professional growth for our members to access and learn how to advance within the legal career themselves. In 2015, the Armenian Bar Association for the first time amended its mission statement to include recognition of Artsakh as an independent state. And so we've done quite a bit in that regard. The first of which was establishing relations with the Ombudsman's Office, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And one of the most exciting things that has happened since then was in 2019 with the visit of the Ombudsman to Los Angeles at our invitation. We were fortunate enough to visit Southwestern Law School, whereby the school itself agreed to create a program for two law students from Artsakh and Armenia to come to the U.S. and study law. This is particularly important for the Artsakh law students because as graduates of Artsakh State University, very few institutions accept their or recognize their degree for higher learning. We were fortunate enough to have one such student here in California for the last year. His term is almost up. He's going back. He's actually walking for the graduation on the 29th of May and then departing for Artsakh on the 31st. And he's here with us tonight, and we're very fortunate that they had sent such a wonderful young man, very smart, very courageous, to California to study law.
Tonight is a special night. The Armenian Bar Association is honoring 3 judges. Can you please elaborate?
Tonight is a very special night for us, Archa Luis. For the past 10 years, we have been gathering as an association to honor members of the judiciary that are part of either the California state system or the federal system. And we have the honor of celebrating judges Kemalian, Gelfand, and Pellman. All 3 very distinguished judges within the California Superior Court. And the purpose for celebrating these judges is, one, to recognize the wonderful work that they do, but also to introduce them to the Armenian lawyers, the Armenian Bar Association, and the Armenian community. Tonight you'll hear quite a bit about diversity and inclusion, and that's a really important part of the fabric of living in the United States. That'll be a running theme throughout the night. You'll hear a little bit about what the court is doing in the area of diversity and inclusion. And you will also hear a very special video presentation by now retired California Supreme Court Justice Marvin Baxter when he was the appointments secretary, the judicial appointments secretary to Governor George Deukmejian. And together they created a program for expanding and including the minority bars within the appointment process. So we're very fortunate. It's always a sold-out event. It's a really great opportunity for us to come together to celebrate, celebrate each other, celebrate our profession, and certainly celebrate those who are most distinguished in it.
Mariam, you've been a member of the Armenian Bar Association since 2016. What has the organization given to you as a professional?
Thank you, Arshalus. This is a great question. And to list all the things that the Armenian Bar Association has given me wouldn't have enough time today. But what I want to highlight is the fact that this is an organization that allows our profession to grow, allows to expand our horizons, and today is a great example of that. The Armenian Bar Association was able to bring together over 67 different judges who preside within the civil realm, the criminal realm, as well as the family law realm. And to have this opportunity and to thank them for the hard work that they've been doing is truly priceless. And I personally think that the Armenian Bar Association has been instrumental in my ability to further my firm, and to further my clients' interests, and to be in a position to ask my colleagues who are within the legal profession for help, for advice, for coaching, for mentorship. And more importantly, our goal as a community is to strengthen ourselves, to push ourselves to new heights. And we can't do it in a singular unit. We have to do it in a communal unit. And I think the Armenian Bar Association is a great example of how a community rises to a challenge and incorporates that profession.
Harak, what kind of work have you done with the Armenian Bar Association and what is your involvement in it?
So I'm an Armenian Bar Association board member, and it's been such an honor and such an incredible privilege to serve. We've been doing some important work, especially around hate crimes and how hate crimes have really impacted our community. Maybe some people don't remember, but in 2020, our community was under attack in San Francisco. An Armenian church was burned down in a hate crime. An Armenian school was actually shot up in a hate crime and was vandalized. And what we definitely wanted to do is, A, make sure that the community knows that we have support with our various public agencies, law enforcement agencies, and others. We were able to take a stand, and we were able to do a public service announcement and a public education campaign around such hate crimes. Because when we talk about hate crimes, it really is a situation where a crime against one of us is truly a crime against all of us. As a member of that community, my baptism paper was actually burned to the ground. That was the school that I went to as well. And it really devastated all of us as a community when a bullet hole is put through the sign of the school. And I think it really speaks volumes that the attacks occurred at an Armenian church and an Armenian school, places where we go to identify as Armenians, places where we should feel comfortable as Armenians, places where we put our children of our community in away from harm, in spite of everything that we've encountered as a people around this world. We don't expect this, unfortunately, to occur right in our community. And unfortunately, which we all know is the case, Armenians across the globe are under attack. We have one another to support one another. It really requires all of us to come together, and it requires all of us to know what we can do for one another as well. Arsha Luis, the important work that we do as a bar association is really a collective effort, and we all work on it together as a board, as well as the many members and the bar paying due members that are active in this space. I think the attack on Artsakh and Armenia in 2020 really lighted a fire under so many Armenian lawyers. And what we saw was an impact that really changed the landscape of the Armenian American legal community. We all are here as Americans, and we're very proud to be Americans. And one thing that's very near and dear to us as Armenian Americans is to ensure the rights of our community, to ensure the protection of our community, to ensure that our community knows that we are here ready, willing, and able to help. And that can't be more true than when we did have those hate crimes occurring against our community in San Francisco, and the hate crimes we've been seeing worldwide against Armenians. And so when those incidents did occur, the Bar Association took a stand, stood up, and was ready to not just be a bridge from the community, but also to serve the community in a meaningful way.
Judge Curlin, you've been instrumental for the community and for the Armenian Bar Association. We thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. This is one of the most popular Bar Association events in the entire county of Los Angeles. I myself am a Glendale resident. I used to be very active in Glendale politics. I was on the Commission on the Status of Women before I was appointed to become a judge, and then I had to resign to be a judge. The Armenian American Bar Association is our local bar association. It's instrumental in connecting people to legal services and providing a forum for discussion on issues that are of interest to the Armenian community as well as the greater community at large. This event is so popular. All the party people come. It's fun, the food is great, and it's just a wonderful time to connect with other judges and with attorneys in the Armenian community. So it's a pleasure to be here.
I don't know where to start. You were the first Armenia-born judge in the United States, and also you've been with the Armenian Bar Association since 2004, and recently you became a board member.
Thank you, Arsha Luis. Yes, I am the first Armenia-born judge in the United States, and I'm humbled and honored to be called that. And I have been a member of the Armenian Bar Association since my law school years, 2004, and I recently became a board member, which I'm very proud of. One of the reasons why I've chosen to be a member of the Armenian Bar Association and continued my membership is because of the work that Armenian Bar Association does. It does a great job in not only educating new lawyers, but connecting them with the community, connecting law students with mentors who are judges and lawyers, and does a phenomenal job in keeping up the Armenian professional attorneys in check and in contact with their counterparts around the world. Because Armenian Bar Association is not just limited to California, not limited to the United States, it's all around the world.
Judge Pellman, first of all, congratulations. You're being honored tonight by the Armenian Bar Association. I know that you've been awarded numerous awards for years, and you've done so much for children and their families, and we thank you for that. But tonight is a special night.
Tonight is such a special night. I was so surprised and honored when I got the call. You know, it's been amazing to be honored before by other organizations that are more family law oriented or more focused on my work. And being honored by the Armenian Bar Association is such an honor because obviously it's all types of disciplines in the Bar Association. Arsha, and also, you know, I am from New York and I didn't really know very much about the Armenian population. So when I came to California, actually my very first experience was working with a family when I was in children's court with two young girls who were at that time living in Glendale. And I met the grandfather, and he and I became very good friends. And I'm Jewish, and I learned so much about how our two cultures have so much in common. And that has always stuck with me. And just, I don't know why, but for some reason I have had so many students, so many Armenian students in my classes that I have taught, as well as law students. So it's been a beautiful
Experience.
It's just been a beautiful experience for me, and I just want to thank them for this incredible honor.
The Armenian Bar Association's signature celebration is the annual Judges' Night. The association honors those jurists who have distinguished themselves by opening broadly the public's access to justice.
very grateful that we were able to be here and that all of you were able to come to be with us. And I'm going to start tonight with extending that expression of gratitude by recognizing those individuals who made tonight possible. And it's a small but mighty group, and that group is, I'm going to go through them one at a time, and I'd ask if you please stand and remain standing, is Armen Akaragyan, Miriam Kuregyan, Shahane Mardirosyan, Tigran Kalyan, and of course Armen Hovhannisyan. And it isn't that they made tonight possible, it's just that they effortlessly folded in this event into their already daily, very busy lives. Everyone that you're meeting here has a very busy practice. They all have small children. Well, not all of them, but have small children. And they were able to balance both work, family, and community. And for that, we're very, very grateful. The same expression of gratefulness goes to our board members, and I'd like to recognize them. We've had a really busy year in the last about year and a half, and the work that we do at the Armenian Bar Association, we won't go through all of it, but there are two that we're going to be highlighting tonight. I'd like to ask our board members to stand, please, and I'm going to start at this table with Gerard Kasabian. He is our treasurer. Armen Hovhannisyan, Judge Amy Ashvanian, Tigran Kalyan, Alex Haragbastian, and Mesrop Kudagulyan. And they're standing outside and they're waving at us. Thank you. Yes, thank you to our very dedicated and devoted board. We are all traveling to Armenia next month for our meeting, and you're all welcome to attend with us. Then I'd like to transition to talk a little bit about some of our friends who are here, who've made it a point to come, two of whom I think are here for the first time, and that is Erica Azwategi, with she's the alternate public defender's office, and Public Defender Ricardo Garcia. And so when I extend that expression of gratitude, it goes to those individuals who are sitting at your table, who volunteer at our pro bono clinic, giving their time not just on the weekends, sometimes in the evenings, and they're sitting over there with you, and they do quite a bit in extra hours to help us with expungement clinics, to help us with all sorts of matters. So we're very grateful for that. Also at that table is City Attorney Michael Garcia. You're also going to hear quite a bit about diversity and inclusion. And for the Armenian community, the city of Glendale is really where we call home away from home. And when we talk about diversity and inclusion, a lot of that has to transpire through the city attorney's office. So our community is very grateful for all that you do. Also at his table are my colleagues, so I'm just going to do a little shout out to them. And when we speak about diversity and inclusion, the person that probably has the greatest impact on many of our programs here is Supervisor Catherine Barger, and we're very grateful that you were able to be here with us today. We rely quite a bit on the wisdom and the advice of our judicial members, and we are very blessed to have many of them here with us tonight. And I'm going to start with the senior members of the bench for the Armenian Bar Association, and that is Judge Zaven Sinanian. Thank you very much. Judge Kayosian over here. Judge Amirian in the back there. Judge Tamzarian sitting here at this table. Judge Ashvanyan here. And of course, you'll get to hear about Judge Kamalian in a little bit. As we make our way through the evening, and you'll learn a little bit about some of the programs that the Armenian Bar Association has participated in, there's one that is fairly new and very unique, and it's really an opportunity that was created about 3 years ago, when the Ombudsman of Artsakh and Armenia visited California at the invitation of the Armenian Bar Association. And as dignitaries do, we visited a number of offices, we visited different legal institutions, but the one that stood out and actually volunteered to make a difference is Southwestern Law School. And we have here with us Vice Dean Anahit Karakhanyan, and Associate Dean Maggie Hall. Judge Suzanne Bruguera was hiding over there, and I didn't get to acknowledge her. And of course, now retired DA or past DA, former DA, Robert Filibosian. Thank you also for being here. I'd like to take a moment to talk about the program at Southwestern, and it has to do with this. Southwestern probably has the greatest number of students that are of Armenian American descent or Armenian descent. And that's by design. It's really a deliberate effort on the part of Southwestern to integrate and have the school reflect the community that is here in their midst. And by doing that, they took this a step further. And what they did is they offered 2 scholarship opportunities for 2 students, one from Artsakh, one from Armenia, through the Ombudsman's office to come to Southwestern and earn an LLM degree on a scholarship. That's tremendous. I'll tell you why. You may not know about Artsakh. Artsakh is struggling to find its independence. And when you graduate from Artsakh State University, which is just your regular 4-year institution, and you'd like to apply for an opportunity to get a higher education, well, it's an unrecognized country by world standards. And as a result, your degree is a little bit more difficult to have accepted as part of other institutions' ability to validate your grades and your transcript. But Southwestern recognized that difficulty and has agreed to allow that opportunity to come to students from Artsakh. And but for Southwestern's ability to do that, we may not be able to offer that opportunity to just regular students who are trying to better themselves and travel and get a higher degree. And in that regard, the very first fellow who started at Southwestern on August 18th of 2021, during a pandemic, during a war, is none other than Arman Asarian. Arman had top honors at his school. He was the student body president, and he learned English. He read Charles Bukowski poems, posted them on Facebook. And when it was time for war, he was called to duty. And the semester was on hold. He went to war, came back, finished the semester, learned of this opportunity, applied, was accepted, and then for the first time in his life, got on an airplane and flew to Los Angeles. And somehow he keeps getting A's. I don't know how he does it. He'll check in pretty frequently. Our goal for Arman was to make sure not only that he left with an LLM degree, but that he really got integrated to the way of life of California Armenians. And that, for us, was an opportunity for our education of inclusion, so that when he returned back to Artsakh, and when we travel to Artsakh or to Armenia, we don't go there as tourists, but we go there as natives because we have a friend and a brother and a son who is there to greet us. So we are quite grateful for this wonderful program. Southwestern has agreed to extend it by 4 more years. 8 more students will come. And many of the sponsors, I'd like to thank you because your sponsorship dollars allow us to continue in this type of programming. So we're grateful for that as well. And so with that, I think I've gone over my 2 minutes. And Arman, I think, is coming up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our 8th annual Judges Night. We are extremely excited this year to have this event again and thank all you judges who have dedicated yourselves to public service. I can say truly, that had it not been for your courageous efforts through the pandemic to keep the courts open and functioning so that life itself can continue, we may not be standing here today. So we with honor present you this night because we didn't have 2020, we didn't have 2021, but now in 2022, we're back. I'd like to start with, first, asking all the members of the judiciary, along with the retired members, to please stand up, because this is your night, and you deserve to be recognized right up front. It was interestingly enough, I was in trial today in front of Judge Birich in Long Beach, and the discussion came up about the black robe, about where's the black robe come from, and he was telling the jurors a story about it, and I said, you know what, this is what exactly I was going to maybe start my evening with tonight. And so I had found about a week ago a very interesting comment from Justice Sandra Day O'Connor on this, who we know is the first woman of the Supreme Court. And she had shared her thoughts with the Smithsonian Magazine about the black robe. And what did she say? She said, "My fondest thoughts about my robe have to do with the tradition at the Supreme Court for putting it on. On argument days, a buzzer sounds about 5 minutes before the oral argument starts. The justices go to the robing room, the court's version of a locker room. Each justice has a locker. Attendants help the justices fasten their robes. Then the justices, without fail, even if they disagree in the opinion they're about to issue, engage in a wonderful custom. Each justice shakes the hand of every other justice before walking to the courtroom. An important reminder that despite the justices' occasional differences in opinion, the court is a place of collegiality and common purpose. And we all know that all of you promote and support collegiality and common purpose and utmost importance of civility. So thank you." So when you put on that black robe, remember what Justice Sandra Day O'Connor said. Even if you disagree, shake the hand and do the right thing. And importantly enough, at the end of all this, you are the final word in interpreting the Constitution and deciding things. Who decided the Bush-Gore election in 2000? The Supreme Court did. You are the final word. And as far as I'm concerned, of course I'm biased as a lawyer, your positions are of the utmost importance to this country. With that being said, and as the night goes on, I know we started with some technical difficulties. I hope for smooth sailing through the rest. I'm going to invite Judge Ruth Kwan up here to provide us some words about the evening and the diversity inclusion. Judge Taylor was going to be here to provide it, but Judge Kwan's going to fill his place for the evening. Now, I had to put together a very short bio for Judge Kwan. It took me a while to break it down to short because she's done so much. But I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of it. She graduated from USC in 1978. She was 19 of 22 children. And she didn't just graduate from USC, she worked and supported herself through college. She went to Hastings in 1981 and graduated from there. She began her career as a prosecutor in 1981 with the LA City Attorney's Office. And she didn't stop there. The 1994 earthquake happened. And what did she do? She authored the first statute of its kind to prevent price gouging after the Northridge earthquake. That, of course, landed her an appearance on Good Morning America. In 1995, she was appointed to the bench, and she has been on the bench since that time. In 2019, the Armenian Bar Association honored her as one of its honorees, just as we have the 3 honorees tonight. She currently sits in a long cause courtroom. I hope to appear in front of her one day. And she is the LA County Court's co-chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Judge Kwan, if you'd come up here, we'd truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Armin, for giving away my age. So good evening. It is a great pleasure to be back in this great venue, Phoenicia, with all the wonderful people from the Armenian Bar Association. Congratulations to Lucy, the current president, for putting on this wonderful event. And also congratulations to immediate past president Gerard Kasabian for his successful presidency as well. Now, Judge Taylor sends his regard, and I have his permission to tell you that the reason why he's not here is because a member of his household has COVID. And he doesn't have any symptoms, he said, but out of an abundance of caution and respect for each and every one of you, he decided not to be here tonight. So, you get me instead. And by the way, there's Assistant Presiding Judge Sam Jessner there. Sam. Now, first of all, Judge Taylor wants to send his congratulations to tonight's honorees, Supervising Judge David Galfan, Judge Richard Kamalian, and Supervising Judge Amy Pellman. And by the way, Judge Galfan is on the ballot next month. Make sure you all vote for him, as well as Judge Carol Ellswick. And we have other two judges here we have Judge Cowan here from the Civil Division, Supervising Judge for Civil Division, and Judge Sam Ota, who is also here tonight, Supervising Judge of the Criminal Division. So I am tasked with, by Judge Taylor, the task of talking a little bit about the court's Diversity Inclusion Working Group, which was formed about a year ago. He and I are co-chair of the working group. Your own Judge Sinanian is also a working member of that group. The purpose of the working group is to find pathways for the courts to open doors and to include less seasoned attorneys, that would include minorities and women, in the practice of civil litigation. The goal is to create opportunities, promote access to attorneys from all backgrounds, provide courtroom experience, and inspire future generations of attorneys who represent every facet of our society. And what have we done to do that? Since our formation about a year ago, we've done quite a few things. Just to highlight a couple of things that we've been doing, we put on a forum. Okay, good. This is sounding good. There's no sound. Don't make, because the Chinese Lawyers Association, every time you go there, you cannot hear the speaker. This is great. All right, thank you. So we put on a forum. The theme was helping others while helping yourself. What we did was we invited a lot of nonprofit organizations, legal organizations, to talk about the various opportunities that they offer to less seasoned attorneys to work with them on a pro bono basis so that less experienced attorneys could gain litigation experience. Another thing that we did with the working group was that we participated in an implicit bias training put on by CALA and the ASCDC. And I have to say that I've attended quite a few implicit bias training. Their trainers were phenomenal. I participated in it. It was truly one of the very best. And we're going to put another one on this year. So for those of you who missed that opportunity, make sure you sign up. We also put forth a local rules change. And these rule changes are vehicles giving opportunities for attorneys to request that a judge permit less seasoned lawyers to perform litigation and trial functions alongside with more experienced attorneys. What does that mean? What it means is that a seasoned attorney could now, along with the less seasoned attorney, together split the function of examining one witness. Okay? That way, the seasoned attorneys will have an opportunity to train their less experienced lawyer and allow the more seasoned attorney to maintain control of the examination. So one of the most successful programs that we put forth is the court's sponsors trial skills program. Our first program was in April on jury selection. We had some very well-known plaintiff and defense attorneys. They were there to do mock jury selection with real-life jurors. We actually pay for people to come and play jurors, okay? So they're not jurors that were planted there. They're actually real-life people. And they did jury selection. There was a lecture component. And then afterward, there was a discussion by all these presenters to talk about what works in jury selection, along with a plaintiff and a defense jury consultant. We had 1,600 people that signed up. It was phenomenal. So our next trial skill program will be on Tuesday, June 23rd. Great attorneys will talk about mini openings and opening statements with demonstration. They will talk about how to effectively use mini opening statements to weed out the jurors that you don't want on your case. Do sign up because each program gives you 2 MCLE credit, and the best of all, it is free. The remaining programs will be on examination of witnesses, expert witnesses, and closing arguments. In addition, the court started the judicial mentoring program over a year ago to mentor lawyers who wish to become judges. Currently, we have 100 mentor judges as well as 180 mentees. The program is such a success that it has gone statewide and has expanded nationwide to other states. So these are the great work that the Superior Court has been doing in partnership with various bar associations. And Judge Taylor and I would like to thank the Armenian Bar Association and its member for always being so supportive of our court. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Kwan. We are going to show about a 6-minute video presentation next that provides a brief outline of what the Armenian Bar Association does, how we attempt to promote diversity and inclusion in the legal field, in the community. And there'll be an interview actually also from Justice Baxter, who will provide some information on the past. But before we show that video, I wanted to recognize Lucy Varpetian, our chairwoman. Lucy, please stand up. Lucy, hands down, is the heart and soul of this organization and this evening. The tireless time she puts in to make sure that things run smoothly, including this event. I mean, I got a text from her, I think, last night at 12:30 a.m. and another one at 5:30 this morning. She is absolutely dedicated to making sure that everything goes smoothly and that these events are done well, and most importantly, that the Armenian Bar is on the cutting edge of what modern society wants. So thank you, Lucy. We'll turn next to the award presentation, and I'm cognizant of everybody's time, so if somebody goes on too long, I may nudge them a little bit from my seat, but we'll see. But I'm going to first invite up Lara Yeretzian, who's going to present Judge Gelfand with his award. Lara Yeretzian is the principal of Yeretzian Law, a criminal defense firm in Glendale. She's tried cases ranging anywhere from DUIs all the way up to murder cases. She's been recognized as a super lawyer on numerous occasions. She's the 2019 Pasadena Magazine Top Attorney Award. And importantly, she's been honored by Congressman Schiff as the District Woman of the Year. Ms. Yeretsian, would you please come up here?
Thank you for the kind words and the introduction. Good evening. I was told that I have 2 minutes. But since Lucy told me I have 2 minutes, you all know what that means. It's going to be 2 very long minutes. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce the first award recipient and honoree, Judge David Gelfand. A name many of you are familiar with, especially attorneys practicing in the criminal courts. Judge Gelfand is the supervising judge of the North Valley District, which includes San Fernando, Chatsworth, and Santa Clarita courthouses, all very busy courts. For the last 3.5 years, he has taken on the role of a supervising judge with an open heart and used it as an opportunity to help incoming bench officers during difficult transition to the bench. The ultimate problem solver, he will drop everything when needed by any of the 27 bench officers he supervises. He has been described to have a calm, deliberative, and reasoned manner. His reputation is that of a judge who is fair to all parties with the rulings that are straight down the middle, conscientious, intelligent, and always well prepared. He has embraced alternative sentencing, including mental health diversion and drug treatment. However, when necessary, he will impose appropriate punishment within the confines of the law. More importantly, throughout his 15 years on the bench, he has created and fostered an environment in his court where everyone is treated with respect. He is very approachable, easy to get along with, always willing to listen, and gives attorneys an open forum to practice law. Judge Gelfand's court is the ideal courtroom for any attorney, but especially the newbies. Where were you, Judge, when I first started working? On any given day, Judge Gelfand wears many hats. He could be supervising and conducting administrative work. In a moment's notice, he could be covering a misdemeanor court for a judge who's called in sick. He could be doing overflow preliminary hearings in Department L where he sits, or could be running the Diversion 50 court for homeless defendants suffering from mental illnesses. But tonight, he wears a hat he truly deserves, that of an honoree of the Armenian Bar Association. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Judge Gelfand to the podium.
Many people in this room have known me for so many years, and I really want you to know how much I really, truly appreciate this honor. It's a big deal to me, and it means a lot to me for a number of reasons. I've had the privilege of serving as a Superior Court judge for almost 15 years, and I think kind of a priority to me was always understanding the difficulties that attorneys have. I was a trial attorney. I worked in a civil practice for a sole practitioner. Being an attorney is one of the most stressful jobs you can imagine. You have the stresses of your client, the stresses of your boss, the stresses of co-counsel or opposing counsel. The last thing you need is stress from a judge. That was how I always wanted to be the judge. You could come into court with a smile and not create an additional layer of stress. That's how I've tried to operate, and when I'm fortunate enough to have new judges come into the district and I try to teach them, demeanor is everything. And it really is important for judges to understand just how difficult an attorney's job is. And hopefully I've been able to do that, and I see a lot of attorneys who've been in my court, and I hope that I've been able to achieve that. Another really special part of tonight is that I get to share the stage with Amy Pellman, who's a supervising judge at Family Law, but also one of my good friends, Richard Kamalian. And we know Richard. He is the most humble, honest, just under the radar guy, and he doesn't want anyone to talk about him or talk about how great he is, but you know what? Too bad. I'm up here, you're down there, so just sit back and listen. I always wanted to say that. Sit back. I can say that, he's a judge. So Judge Kamalian is just an amazing bench officer, he's an amazing person, and he's such a credit to the profession. I've known him for 15 years, and there's not a more diligent judge, fairer judge, or just a great person. And because he's so quiet and unassuming, people don't know who he is, which is unfortunate because he's such a special human being. So I just wanted to say that because he really needs that type of attention. Not attention, but gratitude for all of his great work. And there's a little secret about Rick Kamalian that nobody knows, or some people know, but to show you how dedicated he is, he's a guy who gives up almost all of his vacation every year to come to work. Here's a guy who's coming into work and covering all these other courts for his colleagues, for the lawyers, to make sure he does his job in such a good way. And that fact alone shows so much about what a great person he is. But this award also this honor means a lot to me because the Armenian community has had such a major role in my becoming a judge. A number of individuals helped me get to be on the bench: Judge Pachigian, Chuck Pachigian, James Bazagian, and a number of Judge Trevizian. And then once I got on the bench, a number of individuals in the Armenian community actually assisted me in becoming a better judge. Judge Marian, Judge Sinanian, Judge Kiosian, and Judge Kamalian. So I owe such a deep gratitude to the Armenian community. So you're here to give me an award or honor, but I should be really giving you the honor because I owe you. So thank you very much, and I'm honored to give this to you.
I do want to say that this is it displays a traditional Armenian peacock, and the artist is Sirun Yeretsian. And this award is pretty special to us, the way that she's designed it. So, Lara, if you could just come up and participate in presenting the award, that'd be great. So.
Good evening, everyone. In the tradition of the Armenian Bar Association, we always read the plaque. The Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night and Awards Dinner, proudly recognizes the Honorable David B. Gelfoundian, a pillar of California's judicial system, whose iron ore and human core are set firmly in his irreproachable example of leadership, his superlative standard of integrity, in his warmth, compassion, and sincerity. May 25, 2022, Glendale, California. Congratulations, Judge.
As a result, she accepted a position in the LA County Public Defender's Office in 2008. And within only 3 years, she became the alternate public defender, a position that she holds to this day. She's tried over 100 cases, and she has an absolute passion for representing the indigent and strives to protect the constitutional rights for all. Vicki, will you please come up here?
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Good evening. I have the privilege and honor of introducing Judge S. Kamalian, Judge of the Superior Court of Los Angeles County for 16 years. Judge Kamalian presides in Department 121 at the Criminal Justice Center in downtown Los Angeles, one of the busiest criminal court buildings in all of Los Angeles County. Judge Kamalian's court handles a full spectrum of felony calendar and trial matters, from murders and robberies to low-level theft cases and all types of felony cases. Judge Kamalian exhibits the kind of work ethic and professionalism that is respected by judges, jurors, attorneys, and courtroom staff. The first time I entered Judge Kamalian's court, I thought to myself, oh, this judge is very formal. I better be on my best behavior. And come to find out that for 25 years prior to becoming a judge, Judge Kamalian conducted countless civil trials in state and federal court, representing police departments in the county of Los Angeles for civil rights violations. The cases he handled ranged from false arrests, excessive force, wrongful death, shootings, and the like. With his background and experience with trial practice in state and federal court, it's no surprise that Judge Kamalian possesses the valuable combination of self-confidence, intelligence, and civility that is so essential in a criminal court judge. As a third-generation American of Armenian descent, he recalls the days when his grandmother would flip over an Armenian coffee cup, wait for the grounds to settle, flip it back over to read someone's fortune by interpreting the remains of the coffee grounds. He remembers stories that were passed down from generation to generation about his grandfather's experience in escaping the Armenian genocide. Decades later, Judge Kamalian finds himself with a thirst for piecing together that story and that history, and references 13 journals that his grandfather wrote in Armenian, and he hopes to translate those journals to gain a deeper understanding of his grandfather's journey. It was enlightening speaking to Judge Kamalian today. He was in trial all through last week and into today, and so we had a chance to finally speak, and I was very enlightened by his journey to becoming a criminal court judge. From his job delivering newspapers and then working as a filing and service processor during law school, to handling over 4,000 asbestos-related cases, including taking one of the first 10 asbestos cases to trial in Los Angeles, to representing the Sheriff's Department in civil rights cases in state and federal court, to his recent position as a criminal court judge for 16 years. He is known for treating everyone that steps foot into his courtroom with utmost respect, including individuals charged with crimes, to courtroom staff, to families of victims. I actually had a chance to speak to some of his courtroom staff who gave me a little secret that it's actually his birthday tomorrow, and so they wanted me to mention that during my speech. I am honored to present this Armenian Bar Association Award to Judge Richard S. Kamalian.
Thank you, Vicki. When I was advised that I was going to be the recipient, or one of them, of this honor tonight, my first thought was, we've run out of Armenian judges. Nonetheless, I very much would like to thank the Armenian Bar Association for this distinct honor and privilege. And before I go any further, my friend David Gelfand, for about 16 years, I've talked to him every evening on his way home from work. So now keep in mind, I'm still working, but he's on his way home. So, you know, there's about 500 judges on the Los Angeles Superior Court. In the county of Los Angeles, we have approximately 10 million people. It is a distinct honor and privilege to be able to have the opportunity to serve the community. So I wanted to share with you 3 thoughts. First, I can't do what I do without my colleagues. They are tremendously wise, caring, and gracious with their time, their effort, and their knowledge. I could spend all night, which nobody has, thanking them individually, but collectively, I want to thank them for helping to make me a better judge. Many of them are here tonight, and there are some of you sprinkled among you who I actually started with at the Metropolitan Courthouse. They are here, Stuart, they are here for 3 reasons. 1, to honor Judge Pellman, 1, to honor Judge Gelfand, and finally, free food. So, I know them well, So, let me ask you a rhetorical question. What would you do without the courts? If you're a litigator and you go to court all the time, you're probably throwing up your hands and saying, I have no idea. If you're a lawyer that does transactional work, maybe you get to court once in a while, but that's to solve a dispute that you're involved in. Maybe you thought, if there wasn't a court, I could have been a dentist. What would you do when your favorite patient came in for your favorite root canal, got up and left through your favorite door without paying your favorite receptionist? There's no court. What would you do if you thought, maybe I could be the next American Idol? You wrote the song. And then you find out the next week that somebody wrote the same song. What I'm trying to tell you is what you already know. Our courts are at the very embodiment of our society. They weave a constant thread for all of us. Without the courts, our society is weakened. Without the courts, we are a weaker society. So, if it's that important, we need to tend it like a rose garden. We need to till the crop so it comes in well. We need to reimagine it when it needs to be reimagined. We need to reinvent it when it needs to be reinvented. We need to care for it like a precious relative. To do that, we need every lawyer, every judge, every public servant to recognize the necessity of a strong and important independent judiciary. So, the second thought I would leave with you is that, or maybe it's the third now, I don't know. I think it's time that I gave you a personal confession. And it's only proper because it's the Armenian Bar Association, and it is my confession of an American of Armenian descent, and that is my most embarrassing moment. Hopefully it's not tonight. To do this, I have to go back briefly to 1978. Now, as I look around the room, a lot of you weren't even born. Some of you are teething. I was 18 months old. If you buy that, I have a bridge. So, I met my wife in 1978. And she was not Armenian. She's English, Finnish, born in Canada, long blonde hair down her back. And we've been dating about a month. And just so you know, in 1978, there were no cell phones. None. In 1978, there was no internet. If someone told you to Google it, you went to the penal code to find out what that meant. So she asked me one day the following: I don't think I know any people that are Armenian. I scratched my head and I said, well, look, you went to Hollywood High School. You have to know an Armenian. I said, get your yearbook and we'll take a look. And the next couple weeks, she brings it and I'm pointing out all these Armenian people. She said, well, she was a really good friend of mine. And I go, yeah, we don't wear signs that say we're Armenians, it didn't happen. So then she looks at me and here comes the start of my most embarrassing moment. She says, tell me some famous Armenians that I would know. I would know is the emphasis here. And I start to scratch my head. This was a long time ago. And I say, well, Sonny and Cher. Cher is Armenian. He says, oh, who else? And I go, well, do you know much about business? We're just getting to know each other. I said, Kirk Kerkorian, he's Armenian. She goes, oh, I've heard the name. And then she says, who else? I said, well, there's a fellow by the name of Chuck Connors. I know that doesn't sound Armenian, but he has a show called Mannix, and my folks watch that every week. Pardon me for a little sidetrack here. I really need to ask people of Armenian descent the following. Every time I'd walk over and go through my mom and dad's house, they'd be watching Mannix. And every time my mom would say, do you know he's Armenian? It was almost like Armenians could lose their heritage every 2 weeks, and no, is he Honduran? No, I don't know. Anyways, so I said, Chuck Connors, and she said, I very rarely watch that show. And then she asked me, who else? Well, you want to impress this person who you've got a relationship with. It's kind of budding, so I was feeling a little nervous. You want to be important, so I said, forgive me, Abraham Lincoln. She says to me, that doesn't sound Armenian. I said, well, he changed his name to get votes on the Atlantic coast. And then quickly changed the subject. So, she can't go to the internet. That hadn't been invented. I'm thinking, I'll get away with this. So weeks go by, months go by, maybe 6 months, and the relationship. I've met her parents, she's met my parents. We're over at my folks' house for dinner. And, you know, they took a shine to her, of course, and there's a little bit of silence, and I hear across the table the following. Mary, Steve, I never knew Abraham Lincoln was Armenian. I hear 2 forks fall on the plate. I hear some uproarious laughter, and then I got the biggest scolding I've ever had since I forgot to answer interrogatories. So, 2 things happened after that. She became the apple of my parents' eye, and she still married me, okay? So there was a radio broadcaster. His name was Paul Harvey. And maybe some of you remember Paul Harvey. I think he broadcast out of Chicago, and he'd come on at noon. He'd give a little vignette, and then toward the commercial, he would say, when we return, I'm going to give you the rest of the story. So let me give you the rest of my embarrassment. About 10 years later, I'm doing a lot of work for the County of Los Angeles and the Sheriff's Department, and they send me a case. It's a wrongful death, and it occurred at the West Hollywood Sheriff's Station. A gentleman was arrested for an offense, but he didn't want to have another charge attached, so he did the wisest thing he could do at the moment, which was to swallow 4 balloons of heroin. The case was assigned to a federal court judge. I will not give you his name, but we affectionately referred to him as Rocket Docket. And it was like you could file the document, your answer, before you got back to your office, you had a trial date. So I had to get right on this case, and so I call West Hollywood, I find the jailer, and I say, I'm going to come out on a Sunday and talk to you about protocols, what you're doing, and everything of that nature. And I go out there. I sit down with him, we're talking, and his radio squawks, and he says, we're bringing in an arrestee. He says, keep talking, it's okay. 15 minutes later, it squawks again, and he says, it's a belligerent female. You know, he says, keep talking, it's okay. 15 minutes later, they ask for a female deputy to come in and search this woman. And a few minutes later, I see this female being taken down the hallway by 2 very large deputies. And there's yelling, they're screaming, they're swearing, they're shouting. There's long blonde hair. And I kind of think, you know, that clothing looks a little familiar, and it suddenly strikes me that this is my wife. And then all of a sudden I see about 4 more deputies come into this area, and a female. There's 6 deputies in lockup, and it's me, and I'm just standing there looking and going, what the heck did she do? And they bring her down right in front of me. She does a hair flip, looks me in the eye and says, hello, honey. You remember Abraham Lincoln? That was my most embarrassing moment, as 6 deputies died laughing. I'll never know how she did it, but she did it. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to personally thank you for this honor. My family thanks you. My friends thank you. And Abraham Lincoln thanks you. Thank you.
The Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night and Awards Dinner, proudly recognizes the Honorable Richard S. Kemalian. Since he's already Armenian, the first name becomes Dikran, who among communities of wide ethnic and cultural diversity gives true meaning to the unifying and universal principles of freedom, equality, and humanity in courts of law. May 25, 2022, Glendale, California. Congratulations, Judge.
One, two, three.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Judge. Happy birthday to you.
Two people to provide Judge Pellman with her award today and to introduce her to the crowd. First, I'd like to introduce everybody to Dikran Palyan. Dikran is a certified family law specialist, and he's the principal of the Palyan Law Firm, a family law firm. He's a member of the Armenian Board of Governors. He's a professor of law, family law practice and procedure. He's on the LA County Bar Association Family Law Section Executive Committee. He's been recognized as a super lawyer on numerous occasions, and he's a legislative liaison for the Executive Committee of the California State Bar Family Law Section. The second presenter is Zephyr Simonian. Zephyr Simonian graduated magna cum laude from Southwestern Law School. She clerked for the Honorable Daniel Tabman at the Colorado Court of Appeal. She also clerked for Honorable Michael Nash and Michael Levanis at the LA Superior Court. In 2018, she became the supervising research attorney for the LA County Superior Court. Arguably, we need to be nice to her as judges, I guess, so that get the decisions done quickly. Since 2014, she's been teaching at Southwestern Law School, and she's the chair of the Armenian Bar Student Affairs Committee. Zephyr, Dikran, can you come up here, please?
Well, first I have a correction to make. As of March of this year, I have merged with Tony Storm. Our firm is actually called Storm Palyan LLP. I'll try to keep this under 15 minutes. I'm just joking. I met Judge Pellman, who is now the supervising judge of the entire LA County Family Law Department, in 2010 when I was clerking as a judicial research attorney at the Stanley Moss Courthouse for the Family Law Bench. If I can describe her current impact in the family law world in a word or two, that word would be cutting edge. At this very moment, Judge Pellman is undertaking a number of programs aimed at improving families' access to justice, the court system as its vehicle, and the justice partnership between the bar and the court. I'll give you a specific example. Just a few weeks ago, she was instrumental in doing something never done before, in disseminating and encouraging family law judicial officers to respond to a unique, first of its kind, anonymous survey which I helped prepare on civility and reputation in the family bar, which helped us provide invaluable feedback from the bench to the bar in elevating our practice. I can go on. In many ways, Judge Pellman does not need any further introduction. Many of you here today, especially family law judicial officers, family law attorneys, including myself, can attest to the differences that Judge Pellman made in our community, on families, and let's not forget, attorneys. But if there was one person in this room to give you that introduction, which he doesn't need, that person is Zephyr Simonian, the current supervising research attorney for the Los Angeles Superior Court, who's known Judge Pellman long before she, Zephyr, was even an attorney. So I'd like to invite Zephyr to introduce.
Good evening, everyone. Judge Pellman, who would have known that over 10 years ago, a 24-year-old student sitting in the front of your class would be the one to present you today. So I'm very honored for that. Mother Teresa said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." Judge Amy Pellman cast her stone in the waters of public interest law, the judiciary, and academia. And it was at the intersection of these waters where I became one of her rippling effects. But before I explain her personal impact on me, I want to show her global impact on our community at large. Judge Pellman's passion for children and families is undeniable and inspiring. Her work of repairing and protecting children and families began at Dependency Court Legal Services, where she directly impacted the lives of at least 2,100 individuals who were either abused, neglected, or abandoned. Thereafter, she served as the legal director for the Alliance for Children's Rights, where she helped children live in permanent homes with forever families by creating National Adoption Day. Because of her, ever since 2000, over 70,000 children have been adopted on National Adoption Day. And in fact, students like myself were able to finalize adoptions because of her. Wanting to expand her impact, Judge Pellman joined the court in 2005, where she handled family law matters, which is yet another avenue of helping families reunify, heal, and cope with trauma. In 2011, our paths crossed when she transferred to the Dependency Court and became both my mentor and professor. In addition to handling an average of 1,500 cases per year, impacting the lives of thousands of children, if not more, she made the time to teach at Southwestern and at USC in the evenings. As a research attorney and now a supervisor at the court, I have personally witnessed Judge Pellman review every report meticulously and carefully listen to children to ensure that she arrives at the best decision for children and their families. But as a student, she single-handedly solidified my career in juvenile law when she cast her stone into the waters of my life. Judge Pellman taught me dependency law. We constantly reviewed and discussed appellate cases. At Southwestern, Judge Pellman served as my advisor for independent studies when I wrote an article on the creation and expansion of foster care system in Armenia. She brought me on Southwestern's faculty to teach children and the law with her. We published an article together in the Journal of the California Association of Family Law Specialists. And most importantly, she advocated for me when I applied to work at the LA Superior Court. I ended up in juvenile law, exactly where I belong, because of her. And to this day, in addition to supervising all other areas of law, I continue to work on juvenile-related matters because of the passion she first instilled in me. I'm not alone. Imagine, between teaching at Southwestern and at USC over the last 20 years, and having externs every single semester since 2005, Judge Pellman has mentored, shepherded, counseled, and helped solidify jobs for at least 300 students, if not more, and many of whom were Armenian students like me and first generation in all aspects, first generation American, high school grad, college grad, law school grad. So I return to Mother Teresa's quote, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." After calculating the number of cases, students, and children that have crossed paths with our wonderful honoree, Judge Amy Pellman, I can confidently say that she has created at least 80,000 ripples in her lifetime. And for that, I am so honored to present you Judge Amy Pellman.
Pari Irgun Parkali Paragamner. I'm not done. Shah Shunor Hakal Eyes Barivi. So for those of you who don't speak Armenian, by the way, that was the Western dialect. And maybe for those who do and didn't understand my pronunciation, what I just said was, good evening, honorary friends. Thank you very much for this honor. This honor means so much to me, and I am so humbled to receive it. It has truly been my great pleasure to have met so many Armenian students who I've taught, my externs. I've seen so many of them tonight. Thank you. I love you guys, as well as the lawyers and, of course, the judges. I've learned so much from your rich and beautiful culture. As I reflected on my first understanding of the meeting Armenians, I'm from New York, and I didn't really know that many Armenians growing up. I realized that it was when I was an attorney in children's court. And I will never forget this case. It was, shall we say, complicated. It involved a murder, multiple countries, including Armenia, Iran, and Russia, a fugitive, a love story, an FBI agent, and then my clients, 2 little girls, who were right in the middle of it. Because of the nature of that case, I visited those children quite often at their grandparents' home in Glendale. And I would take them out for dinner, and then we would come home, I would take them back to their grandparents' house, and then I would have another dinner because I had to eat, right? And dessert. And once the grandfather learned that I was Jewish and that my grandparents were from Russia, Ukraine, and Poland, he began to speak with me about the rich and long history of the Armenian people, and he would often remark that our cultures shared the historical trauma of victimization and genocide, as well as the determination and fierce resiliency which have made us stubbornly successful despite the many obstacles that we have all encountered. So over more than 30 years, the Armenian Bar Association has exemplified those ideals of resilience and success. You've grown from a small group dedicated to preserving your identity and your culture to a large and influential group which provides so much support both locally and internationally. I am so impressed by what you do, by your pro bono clinic in Glendale that provides a variety of legal supports for families, elder abuse, family law, expungements. You've taken on controversial and important issues such as domestic violence, both here and in Armenia and across the diaspora communities. So for me, based on my background and my principles that I have tried to live and follow in my life, your organization is really the embodiment of the Jewish concept of Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam relates to the idea that each of us individually has an obligation to do what we can to repair the world through social action, whether or not it is at home, our work, our religious institution, our pro bono work, or even just simple acts of kindness. We're all in this together, and we share a commonality to support each other and to make our world a better place. And so in this confusing and tragic world that we're living in, the concept that we're all here to make a positive contribution to the betterment of our community and our world is even more meaningful and important. So thank you to my family, my friends, my colleagues, and please keep up the beautiful work, and thank you for the most delicious dinner.
The Armenian Bar Association, on the occasion of its annual Judges' Night and Awards Dinner, proudly recognizes the Honorable, get this, Armenuhi M. Pellman. Right, Judge? All right? Judge Ashfanian, for her exemplary efforts and courage as an arbiter and a complete model of equality and justice. May 25, 2022, Glendale, California. Congratulations, Judge.
Giro Kasabian doesn't need any introductions, but that is Giro Kasabian, our past chair of this wonderful organization. Ladies and gentlemen, we really want to thank you for attending tonight. Thank you so much for coming on, especially on a Wednesday night, and staying late with us. I hope you enjoyed the program. I just do want to just leave you with one word, and many have declared for hundreds of years that if we're to have a government of laws and not tyrants or dictators or aristocrats, we need our courts, and most importantly, our judges, to forever ensure that our legal rights are protected. So with that, we leave you to it. Thank you so much, Your Honors, for attending, and we look forward to seeing everybody next year. And of course, if you want to stay and socialize, you can. I think there's still more wine and such on the tables, but completely up to you. Thank you all.
For advertising on Inside TV, please call 818-653-0199.